And we should be good.
Woot!
Anyone in chat, if you can hear me.
Eddie said, okay, bye.
Okay. Guys, if you're in chat and you can see us and everything is good, please respond. I tried to hijack everything. Can hear you? Cool.
Yay.
There we go.
Hello.
Sweet. It's so loud.
There we go.
Sorry, guys. It's going to be a little janky. I hijacked it just so
yes, thankfully.
we can try and actually hear us this time.
You might want to turn us down a little bit.
Turn you guys down? Sure.
No, everybody can turn us. No.
Muzi, stop being a drama queen.
How do I do these?
I don't know. Korea's the only one that's saying it's loud, but they seem to be very adamant that it's loud.
It's because I had Muse at 200.
Oh.
I mean, I kind of.
Dang, way to keep me at like 0. Thanks a lot. I could see who you care about.
I fixed.
Muzi, thank you so much for subscribing.
Turn myself down? Like actually? Because I can. If you want me to. I'm sorry, I'm loud.
We're good.
Mars, stealing streams and siege kills since 1908.
And those MVPs, baby.
That's how long.
Alright, so I think where they got cut off, we were still kind of talking, what they heard was talking more about the Xbox cross-platform.
Yes. Eddie was just getting in on it, and then we cut him all off. And he said, okay, bye. Yeah, it's definitely, I think he was just saying how it's putting pressure on Sony. And we talked for like 5-6 minutes after that about this, so I guess we're just going to do that again.
That's
fine.
No big deal. Yeah, it's going to put major pressure on Sony. It has to. even if they never bend and do the same thing everybody else is doing, it's still got to put pressure on them, because now developers are going to be able to develop a game on the Xbox Live platform that will be playable on both the Nintendo Switch and the Xbox. So now a developer can release on multiple platforms all at once versus releasing on only one platform with the same amount of development on the PlayStation. And that's crazy.
Yeah, that's
too. And a
that's
thought
pretty
that
cool.
I just had actually though is that there's a lot. I wonder if devs are going to want to, because of the fact that some people will buy games on more than one platform. And so in ways by doing this, it kind of, I could foresee it cutting down on sales a little bit, because now instead of buying it on PC via the Xbox Game Pass, you just do it through your Switch instead of doing them separately. You know what I mean? So like, I could see, like, it makes me wonder how devs will respond to that, because it could potentially lower sales in ways.
It could.
I see where you're coming from, but you got to think it's also bringing the people that aren't buying games because their friends all have it on one system and they don't have it on that system. Because that happens to me all the time, especially if all you Siege folk in Crew Talk.
I have Siege on 2 platforms. I have Rocket League on 3 platforms. I have a problem. I have a problem.
But I know for a fact there's people that like won't buy a game because, oh, my 3 friends all play it on PC. I don't have a PC that can run it. I'm not buying that game.
Yeah.
But if that game's on Xbox too and they can play it with their PC friends, they're gonna buy that game.
Well, that's what that stuff like Rocket League, like again, like having it across those platforms, they're trying to implement that cross-platform, and like something like Sea of Thieves, where like Xbox can play with PC players. Cross-platform is really going to be super important coming up. Because people don't really have everything's more expensive nowadays. No one has the money to buy multiple consoles. No one has the money to buy, PC. Sometimes it's expensive, and to be able to keep up with everybody and actually have people enjoy it and make it inclusive for everybody, you kind of have to go the way of cross-platform, I think.
I think it's smart ultimately. I'm just curious to see how it'll work out, and if they do it smart, or if they just kind of do it willy-nilly like some companies do sometimes. There's like, it ends up being something that sounds good but doesn't in theory, or in practice it doesn't work as well as it does in theory.
Yeah, it could definitely be tough.
Hugh brings up another great point. Skyrim is way ahead of the game. He's got Skyrim on every platform, including his Alexa. Skyrim is on Alexa. It's a very, very valid point. I was mind blown when I first heard that. My roommate's like, check this out. Alexa, play Skyrim. It's like, you're on a path. And I was like, what is happening?
Oh my god, could you? That's actually kind of creepy though. Like if it just starts like talking to you, like I don't know.
Oh,
I find
have you
Alexa
not heard
creepy.
it?
No, I
Oh,
haven't.
it's
I don't want to.
crazy.
I don't want to play
It's
it.
cr-
I don't
It's
wanna do it.
crazy. I thought it was a joke when I saw the commercial, but it's a very real thing.
Oh man,
It's a choose your own adventure based on Skyrim that your Alexa reads to you.
do I just like tell her like turn left, turn right?
Yes.
That's amazing.
It'll be like, do you want to go down the flower path or do you want to go down the gravel dirt road? I think is the first
Dirt
thing
road,
that it
every
asks us.
time.
And I was like, yeah, I know. We're all just yelling. We're like, dirt road, dirt road. It was intense for sure.
amazing.
Intense.
That harkens back to the old days of just like text-based games where it writes, it tells you have to read it out and you're like, go left. I sucked at those, by the way. I always had to of course I was like 5 trying to play these games and I'm like mapping them out, trying to figure out where I'm going. I'm like, I'm lost and I don't know what to do.
I don't know how to get back to where I was. I turned left 5
had
times. I can't
A
get back.
rusty key and I don't know what to do with it.
Oh please! I always read the Make Your Own Adventure books, and like I was totally that person. I would like scroll to the page and be like, "Oh, you died? Oh, nope, nope, nope. Go to the other one."
Sorry. I don't think so. That's fine.
Bye.
Just kidding.
Yeah, I think that's all we were doing for gaming news. Got a little confusing towards the end,
That's
but
great.
it was
came
there.
back around.
I think we're moving over
Um,
to where'd my outline go?
Oh,
Some cyberbullying.
Cyberbullying, yeah, what it
Musi.
is, what
You're
it
not.
is.
You're Mars, not Musi.
Well, we're kind of tag teaming the cyberbullying
Right,
thing.
right.
But I'm going to be talking about more so what cyberbullying is, what it looks like, like the issues that it has, especially in today's society with, the technology that we have. And then Muse is going to talk about how to keep yourself safe online. So obviously cyberbullying is kind of defined as something that is, sending or posting negative, harmful, false, or mean content about someone else that can cause embarrassment or humiliation. And obviously, this is across a technological standpoint. This could be over a digital device, a cell phone, a computer, a tablet, gaming, consoles, you name it. Anything that is considered digital is considered cyberbullying. So if you guys have any, issues in the chat, if you guys want to talk about anything that you guys have experienced in cyberbullying, I can read back to them after I go through my spiel here. But there's just a bunch of different stuff with cyberbullying. Like you could do it through social media, you could do it through SMS or text message, you could do it through instant message, you could do it through email. There's a whole section of cyberbullying through gaming. But there's like 3 different ways that cyberbullying really is pertinent to everyone's lives. It's persistent. The age of technology that we have makes, the way of communication constant. So you can talk to anybody at any time, at any day, 24/7. You have access to the internet, and talking to people and forums and blogging and, what have you. Like
Eddie tells me he's going to steal my lunch money every day on Twitter. So
yes, I mean,
Same
that's a terrible, terrible thing. Not to make light of it, but no, like honestly, through social media, through Twitter, through Facebook, through, back in the days of MySpace, Tumblr, like Eddie said before, stay away from 4chan and Reddit. There are online games and gaming communities that are just windows of opportunity for people to just do these things. But again, it is persistent. It is something that is around 24 hours of the day. And people, especially children growing up, because it's so constant, they might have a very hard time finding relief from these kinds of things. So that can not only harm them, psychologically, but, having that feeling of not being able to escape from it can also be, super detrimental. So like, what do you guys think of, just the constant activity that you have through the internet?
That's a big point that I've actually never thought of bullying. I've never had a huge. I was bullied a lot in elementary school, in middle school, and on. I was kind of that person that was friends with the bullies and friends with the non-bully and friends with the bullied. So I was always the person, not to try to sound like the hero, but I was always the person trying to step in front of what was going on and hey, stop doing that, stuff like that. I mean, I've made my mistakes. I've bullied people before, but not. I was just being a dumb kid, I would say. But it is different. When I was growing up, I'm not that old, but when I was growing up, the internet was still not nearly what it was. Social media was not a thing. When I went home, all that vanished. When I went and did this, all that vanished. When I went and hung out with my friends, all that vanished. So I'm sure that was something. Now it is a whole new age where if someone decides, hey, Bucktooth Brett, this dude's Bucktooth Brett, and then takes it to social media, I can't get off my phone without seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's going to happen and happen and happen.
Dial-up days, AOL chat rooms. I remember like Yahoo Messenger, and I was like, "What is this?" But no, it is. It's constant. Not only are kids getting phones at earlier ages, they have access to all of those social medias. They have tablets. They have smartwatches. You know, that stuff's everywhere. And like Harry said, you can't escape it. Like you can't get off of it without a notification popping up with, you know, somebody saying, you know, adding you and saying whatever they're going to say about you.
I'm so sorry.
People, it's so hard.
I laugh at the worst things and I make light of the worst things, and I'm sorry. But the image of somebody getting bullied by their watch made me laugh a little bit. I can't lie. If someone just like their watch has an alert and they look and then they're just sad, that makes me laugh in the worst way. It makes me a very sad laugh.
But it's also it is sad, because it's just like you get these notifications constantly, you know, who's posting what, if you have them set up, and it's just like on Facebook, you know, the age of Facebook was super popular, MySpace was super popular, then there wasn't really a lot of security behind what was posted on there. Like I remember in high school, you know, like I was always made fun of because I was super athletic and I was never like a super skinny girl. Someone photoshopped my face onto Free Willy. And like that was all over the internet for that. So it was like, hello, like, you know, there was no way for me to be like, hey, take that down. Even if you report it, the website's responsible for taking that down. So it's like, you know, these kids aren't getting relief from that. And that can lead to a lot of, you know, self-image issues. It can lead to a lot of anxiety, a lot of social anxiety, you know, a lot of, you know, depression, and, you know, unfortunately sometimes can go further than that. And these kids and, you know, even adults, you know, every age that was really affected by the internet is affected by cyberbullying in some way. And like you said, you know, we're all not innocent. We've all probably have bullied someone in our lives, whether we know it or not, whether we were just ignorant to the fact that we were doing it, or we thought that we were being funny. You know, you just never know what really affects a person. But it's just the fact that like people don't realize that it is a persistent habit in, you know, online. And Eddie says, my daughter is 11 and has an iPhone. If you would have told me a decade ago that that would be the case, I would have smacked you. Society and the norms are constantly changing. Absolutely. And it's not, we don't live in the day and age where we can go outside and play anymore in our driveways and unfortunately be safe. So like you want your kid to have their cell phone everywhere. You know, it's just, the world is constantly changing in that regard.
There's a thing for a long time. There's a stigma of, I can't believe how young this kid is that has a smartphone. I'm like, why wouldn't you give your kid a smartphone? That gives them, you can put location on them. They can call you for an emergency. They can do their taxes. They can do everything on a smartphone. I mean,
it's the truth.
There's no reason not to have that power and that functionality, but it does bring up the fact of bullying, and it has to do with, you know, when bullying was happening when I was younger, the parents knew. Like you go tell your parent, it wasn't hideable. Like you saw that person picking on that kid. You saw that happen because it was all physical in the real world. Now,
absolutely.
If you bully a kid, they might not even say that they're being bullied, and now you don't even know you're doing anything wrong, and the parents don't know to say, hey, this is wrong. And then that's how you get social anxieties and things like that. You think, oh, I am a loser. That's just my role, or something like that.
Exactly. And there's that anonymity too. You might not even know who from your class is saying this stuff about you.
I didn't even think of that.
That actually perfectly transitions into the next point, where it's hard to recognize and it's hard to notice. Because again, you know, even in the days of like AOL and AIM screen names, like you could make multiple screen names and nobody would know who you were. You can make fake profiles. You can make fake, you know, really anything. And how it really transitioned is, you know, you had the internet. You can go on MySpace, you can go on AOL Instant Messenger, you can go on all these platforms. And then it transitioned into cell phones. Cell phones were super huge at the same time. You know, we didn't have smartphones yet, but more and more kids were getting cell phones. Then it transitioned into cell phones, and at least you had a phone number. Now we have smartphones, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have, you know, instant messaging, we have WhatsApp, we have Twitch, we have literally everything that you could possibly think of. There's apps. It's just another texting app.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
There's
to cut you off. It was just like
there's WhatsApp. There's WhatsApp. There's Kik. There's, you know, Discord. There's so much, like you said, anonymity behind all of this, and it's a really hard way to track it. And like you said, because of like things of YouTube where people are posting like, oh, like this is just a trick that we played on someone or a prank that we played on someone, playing pranks and playing tricks have become such a norm that they probably might not even know that they're being bullied, or they don't even know that they're bullying someone. So it's super hard to recognize and super hard to keep track of. And Jonna goes, yeah, I have a story. I was talking to my girlfriend one day, and next thing I know, a couple days later, this guy messages me who wasn't her boyfriend and said, leave my girlfriend alone, or this and that will happen. And it kept going on for 4 weeks, and it wasn't until a week after that I got a new device, and that fixed the problem. Yeah, WhatsApp is super popular overseas. Yeah, it is super popular because it allows you to text intercountry without any kind of fee.
Voice calls too, right?
Yeah, it's just constantly changing. I don't even know what WhatsApp is. It's just a texting app. But again, like there's so many apps, you know, today. Like there's just, they have, you know, that Musical.ly app. They have literally an app for anything you could possibly think of, and you know they have Whisper. They have there's just so much stuff that you could just go on there and be like, hello, fake accounts. You say it's actually No Leche SRAM. Get it right.
I forgot about that one.
I used to get everyone with that.
You talk about things like anonymity. I remember when AIM was going on, and it was a whole thing like, hey, you don't know who you might be messaging. That might be that might be this, that might be that, that might be that. And I heard that all the time. Yeah. I have not heard that in the last 10 years. I haven't heard that.
It's still true.
But
That's the
truth.
More true.
It's
more true.
Because you have such a window to not be who you are. And to be and hide who you are and say what you want. You know, they say stuff about keyboard warriors and all this stuff. Like, I could go on the internet and say whatever I want with zero penalty.
Yeah, you can put it on Wikipedia. People would just think it's real.
Yeah, to an extent, and it's just not. It's not good because, again, it's persistent. And the next point I was going to say, it's permanent. Anything you put on the internet is going to be there permanently. Even if a website takes it down, someone has seen it, someone has screenshotted it, you name it, it's out there. It's not going away. So, you know, people are, you know, either, you know, taking risque photos of people and posting them online to get back at their significant other when they break up, or just to get back at someone in general, or, you know, people are just posting random things about people, and it's just, once it's out there and one person sees it, it's there permanently. It's not going away. And again, you can report it online, you can report it to the website could take it down, but as the minute someone sees it, it's there.
And even if an account gets taken down, they'll just create a new one. And if they are dead set on doing it, you know, they will just create a new account and come at you again. A lot of them will have multiple accounts set up already anyway. That's just how a lot of these people do it, because they have so much fun messing with others, especially if they know it's getting to that person. Whether, you know, Mars was saying, it could be kids in school, it could be adults. We all have faced or we've seen some form of it in one way or another. So.
And another thing about being hard to recognize is it's very hard to recognize an attack from a legal standpoint. Each state has their own laws, but it's so hard to set a law on something that is over the internet because there's so much stipulation behind it. There's so much control, so much like that you can't control. And there's just so much factors that have to be considered into these things. So like, you know, there's certain laws that are in place, especially with like bullying in school. So like if you're being bullied in school and you're a teacher, you are under a lawful obligation to recognize that bullying. But how are you supposed to even recognize if someone's being bullied if it's through the internet and they don't say anything?
I have no idea.
Exactly.
You know,
most people won't, because there's that stigma of talking about it. It's like, oh, everybody's saying it, so it must be true. And if I go and tell anyone, they're just going to tell me that they're right and I'm the stupid person that they say I am. So why even say anything?
Yeah, it's a whole thing, and I do, however, think that there's a little bit to be said of not knowing when you're bullying. And I think that is part of the online thing is if the bully per se doesn't know that they're being a bully, it's different. And it doesn't make it okay, but if you don't tell them, they won't know. It's just, it's literally impossible. Like, I'm a big fan of a lot of comedy. Stand-up's one of my favorite things to do. I kind of pursue it on my own. And there's a lot of jokes I make that I don't believe, and they are not my beliefs, and they are not how things work in my mind, but they're funny, and they might offend certain people, but I don't ever meet offense. I don't really know how to explain it. No one should have to have a tough skin by any means Your
Mhm.
skin should be as tough as you want it to be. But if you aren't outspoken about what's offending you,
Mhm.
you then you can't be angry. And that's one of the reasons I think it's very important to recognize for yourself if you're being bullied. Because if you just think the person's funny, but they are hurting you and you're like
Mhm.
internalizing it, that can end up way worse than
Mhm.
That's when the problem
anything
starts. Is
else.
when that internalization happens,
Mhm.
or fear of other things happening, because that can be something that happens with cyberbullying too. Is
Absolutely.
threats that get given.
Absolutely. So there was actually, I read an article today about something called, I think it was like a Momo challenge. And it happened, I think, last year. And people were saying, like, if you contact this number, they'll talk to you. And then, like, basically this person was like threatening you. And it was like this internet craze that people were just like texting this random person. And it was like, if you don't do A, B, and C, then I'm going to threaten you with this. And it was a prevalent thing enough to be recognized, in the news. And things like that just shouldn't happen. And a perfect
No, it
example
shouldn't.
of what like Harry was saying with like you not recognizing if you're bullying is like memes. Like I love my memes. I post memes all the time, but like there's certain thing like memes, like people make memes about each other. There's apps where like I could literally take a picture of Muse's face and make a meme out of it. Like that could be a form of cyberbullying, and like you might not even like realize that that's what you're doing. And again,
Exactly.
like Harry said, if you don't speak up about it, that it bothers you, the person either might not even know that they're doing it. They might actually know that they're doing it, but they won't stop unless you say something.
Yeah, there's no way of knowing.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And to kind of expand on the Momo, like it was primarily last year, but
Mm-hmm.
recently, locally in my area, there was a young child that got targeted by someone doing this Momo challenge. And it progressively, like they give them different things, different challenges that they need to do that get
Yeah.
progressively more and more
Dangerous. Mm-hmm.
to themselves and to others, even to the point where they, you have. One example was ultimately having them commit suicide under threat of harm to family members.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus
So
Christ.
it can get
Yeah.
really, really bad. And the
Yeah.
problem is that these kids, they're in their rooms at night, and that's usually when the texts come, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's WhatsApp or whatever. And
Mhm.
so there's no one around, and it's late at night, and they're getting these messages, and they're being told these awful things.
And it's nearly impossible to backtrack to this person because of these apps, because of, that then you have your privacy laws. And that's where the laws with cyberbullying and anything really internet related in general becomes super, super hard to track.
Yes, we do, but we keep it to topic. Sorry, bud.
Though those are all very funny. I
They
thought
were
they were very funny at least.
I was impressed.
But it was also a little awkward because we're talking about cyberbullying and how some things can be taken as cyberbullying, and that could have easily been taken as cyberbullying, which actually, now that I think about it, kind of puts it on topic
Mhm.
in a very strange sense of the manner. It was
Yeah.
really funny. He meant well by it, and he was just being trolly.
Mhm.
But if that, for instance, offended Musey, or if my parents died in a juggling accident and I felt like you were making fun of me,
Mhm.
then now all of a sudden that turns into bullying instead of just making fun or having a good time or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest thing to say is if it's something that you wouldn't feel comfortable reading yourself directed at you, don't say it. Just like how people say, if you treat people how you want to be treated, if it's something that, if you're like super into like your parents or something, if it's going to make your parents upset, don't say it. If it's going to make you uncomfortable, if someone said it to you, don't say it. That's just basic stuff. Like, whatever you said about me, girl on the right is Crystal. She's 29 and works in housekeeping at a low budget hotel. Like, really? Someone could be super offended by that. Like, that doesn't bother me. Like, I understand, like, you're just trying to like troll and be funny, but like some people might get super offended by that.
Eddie did come to your defense, so he's like, "Why's it got to be low budget though?"
Yeah, like, why can't I be 5-star? Like, hello.
Like me for someone much
You
younger,
must not know
so
Mars
you're like,
very well.
I appreciate you. 'Cause
Yeah,
I'm
and you
not
just told me I
as
looked
you said.
old.
I think he put me at 4 years younger than me. Hold on, let me look up.
But no, it's
I can't juggle though. No way. Okay.
I can't even juggle my life. So,
right.
Yeah, I'm
But
4 years.
even on Twitch, we see cyberbullying for streamers. People come in, we see other streamers bullying other streamers by taking their community to them and having them say mean things and troll their chat. We see, actually, there's a streamer friend of mine who, not too long ago, another streamer came in to his channel and started calling him, saying things about being autistic and saying all these mean things. Well, he is autistic. He is on the spectrum. It bothered him, and they wouldn't they wouldn't stop. They would create new accounts. They kept coming at him.
Oh,
And that
sorry.
is an awful form of cyberbullying that even any of us as streamers can
Mhm.
face.
Yeah,
I actually have a great story that I don't know how I didn't think of it till just now.
sure, go for it.
Recently, you guys have all heard me talk about my friend Michelle at some point, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But not that long ago, we played Resident Evil Zero together. We did a stream together, and she loves video games, loves video games, but doesn't share them with some people and doesn't play them very often with people
Mm-hmm.
because she always feels like she's not that good at them, or just like little things like that. She likes to
Yeah.
keep them to herself.
Mhm.
But she loved that I was doing the streaming thing, and she wanted to give it a shot. So I said, hey, yeah, we'll do it together. We'll have a blast. So we did Resident Evil Zero, and you know our community, Twitch Q, you guys are amazing. And then
Mhm.
she had friends come in too, and they were awesome. And we were playing Resident Evil Zero. This is our first time playing a video game on camera on a live stream. And this dude came in, and he starts trolling me. Now, I don't care. I actually love trolls. I feed trolls all day. It's my favorite thing to do. But then he started insulting Michelle. And he started doing things that weren't just insults. He was starting to do things like, this. She looks like a 2-bit hooker. Things like that. Like just really bad stuff. And so
Yeah.
we started banning. The problem is he would just make accounts and come back and make accounts and come back. He would make an account called Michelle's a cum dumpster. Like just terrible stuff. Over
Yeah.
berating. And that's like so far away from anything good.
Mhm.
And now it's been Michelle's so excited to play through this whole game with me and so excited to do this whole streaming thing. And now
Mhm.
it's been like 4 months since we've done a stream because she still wants to do it, but it's just not as fun as she thought it would be.
Yeah, it's
Because she
it's
got
not
super attacked out
yeah,
of
and
nowhere.
it's not fun being super attacked. And like there was another person that is actually in our community, you know, OMG, I'm a girl. You know, she was attacked by that. What, like there was one streamer on Twitch who had a very big following, a Twitch partner, who'd basically found her randomly and said, "Hey, chat, let's go in here," and basically ruin her day. And the amount of stuff that like they were saying to her, they attacked her in her, you know, in her stream, in her Discord. And thankfully, like she had a bunch of friends who are a bunch of mods and everything that were banning them left and right. You know, turned on
That
follower
was the
chat.
problem. I didn't have a mod.
Yeah, so like
So I was just all manually trying to do it while we were trying to play this game together. It was insane. It was
Yeah.
so bad. And I'm not a big channel. We only
Yeah.
had like 13
that's the thing. You
people
don't.
in there.
That's the thing.
Like,
They like to
why
attack
am I-
smaller people because of the fact that you might not have a mod. You
Right,
don't. You
like,
don't
why
have
are you even
anybody
here?
to help you, and you know. Thankfully, like you know, she turned to another community that she was in. A bunch of them flooded in there. You know, got rid of them. You know, turned on follower chat, turned on sub only chat, like you know, emote only chat, like you name it. There's a bunch of different ways you can go about it. I'm sure Muse will
I
touch
didn't
upon
know about
that.
those, and I found out that night. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna be using that now.
Yeah, and that's actually perfectly transitions into my next part. Is just education. You know, how do you recognize these things? How do you protect yourself against these things? Or how do you you know, recognize cyberbullying? It's just basic education. So there's a bunch of different websites. There's stopbullying.gov. There's a bunch of different things you can go on there for these, you know, types of information. So like cyberbullying tactics, you know, posting comments or rumors online, threatening to hurt someone or telling them to kill themselves, posting a mean or hurtful picture, you know, viral tactics, posting videos and, you know, reposting them and reposting them, or, you know, being bullied for being economically challenged, or you know, lies and false accusations, you know, nude stuff, you know, being posted on, you know, pornographic website. There's a bunch of different ways that these people can attack somebody. And you know, how do we prevent this stuff from happening is really just through education, you know, noticing that these things are happening, not being afraid to talk about it, making sure that you document all of these things. If you are a person that is being attacked, make sure you take screenshots, make sure you document everything, make sure you go to the right people and talk about it. Because again, they're not going to know unless you say something. You know, it's again the anonymity factor, and the fact that I can't go into Harry's Facebook and see all these things that people DM him about, you know, even if he has
You
one.
can if you want to. Just kidding.
But you know, like parents can't go into their children's accounts unless they give them, you know, access to that. And it's just, you know, how do you even recognize that people are being bullied? They might retract from these things. So like, you know, I might be being bullied on a game, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, a game that I really, really love, like Siege. Like if I stopped playing Siege one day out of nowhere, like that would probably raise a lot of red flags. Why? You know, I constantly go in Siege and get told all the time, like, oh my God, you're a girl playing a game. I had someone on Siege tell me to go in the kitchen. Like stop playing this game and go in the kitchen. So I went to the kitchen and headshot him. But still, like, you know, like there's I thought it was
Maybe
funny.
you'll stop
He
playing
didn't.
because I keep putting bounties out on your head anytime I come into any game playing with you.
True.
10 bits,
True.
you go kill if you team kill Mars in the next 3 seconds.
Yeah, but like that, like for someone that might be considered, you know, considered bullying, there's so many little things that you just have to be like mindful. You know, you got to be the bigger person, and like sure, like it's cool to make jokes and stuff with your friends, but like if like
Right.
you know, I know before like Canny and looking for groups that she wanted to try Siege. So if she all of a sudden joined us one day playing Siege and like we're all joking normally and like say I go and TK her because like we all TK each other sometimes. Like she might
Right.
not understand like why that's funny. She might think that I was doing it because I don't like her. Like there's a lot of stuff that you just have to be mindful and be smart about, and you know, not be afraid to talk about, and you know, go and you know, just be a good person. And if you see someone being cyberbullied, try to protect them. Like if I went into Harry's stream and saw that that was happening, you know, like I would try and help him out, you know, because you know he's my friend. I appreciate him as a person. Like I don't want that to happen to anybody. So you know, it's a lot of advocacy on your part to be like, you know, I want to put a stop to this, and you know, try and be a better person and make the area that you're in, like we're all Twitch streamers. So like if you pop into anyone's chat and see someone coming in there, like shut them down. There really is a power in numbers, and there really is a power behind someone's voice. So like you can't be afraid to talk about that kind of stuff because you don't want it to lead to something greater. You know, like you know, I know we had the charity stream last Saturday, and I know Muse is going to touch upon this as well, but like you don't ever want it to lead to any of those kinds of steps. So
Yeah.
No, it could very well lead to those, and that's the unfortunate thing is that you know we see more and more news stories of these 12, 13, 14-year-olds committing suicide because of bullying, and it's because they can't escape it. Like we're talking about, they get it at school, they go home, it's everywhere. They can't escape it, and it can lead to a lot of heartache, not just for them, but for family and friends, and it's just it breaks my heart to think about
yeah.
because it's not okay. And so it just takes, like Mars is saying, your voice could reach really far. You know, maybe it won't stop that person from trying to bully someone, but it knows the person, but at least take heart in knowing that the person that was being bullied was supported by you. And that can mean everything. That they know they're not alone, that they're not, what's being said to them isn't the truth. They don't have to take it for truth.
Yeah.
Not everybody is able to take those types of things. The friend that I was talking about, he put his Twitter to private for a few days while he was dealing with it. He stopped streaming for like 3 days because of it. Because he didn't want to deal with it because he couldn't get away from it.
Support honestly does go a very long way. And, you know, just again, just to like summarize this, the fact that it's just persistent, like someone can like literally reach you across platforms. You, like you said, your friend blocked them on something, like you could block them on Discord. Okay, then they go to your Twitter. Then you block them on Twitter. Then they go to your Instagram. Then you block them on Instagram. Then they go to this. And it's just like, it can literally just hop from place to place to place. And, you know,
It's exhausting to think about.
it is exhausting. And I know me and Muse have, you know, we've talked about this before, but you know, it is exhausting for people, and it's not a very easy thing to deal with. And if you feel like you are alone, you know, it's like you said, it's hard to get away from, and it's like you said, it's not. There's plenty of people just in this community alone that you could just be like, hey, this is happening. You know, whether you talk to the mods or you message Harry or you go message, you know, Tati or whoever, you know, you just say like, hey, this is happening. I need support. Like, there's so many people in this community that would be like, yeah, like, like who are you beating up? Let's go. Let's look at the pitchforks. Let's go.
I support everybody that isn't Eddie Nine. So please feel free to come to me. Please. I'm just kidding. For anybody that's new here, like Ace Platinum, for instance, might be the only one, but I don't know. Eddie is actually like one of my favorite people in the world. So please don't take anything I ever say about him anywhere seriously, unless it's calling him a bully. Because
But this is an ongoing issue, and it's hard to deal with. And now I'm gonna push it over to Muse because there's plenty of steps that you can take to prevent this, to deal with it, and to keep yourself safe on the internet. So go ahead.
We're gonna do that, and we're gonna do just some safety tips in general as well, because it's the web, and a lot of things can happen. People can get to you,
It's
not
scary.
just for bullying purposes. They can get to you for personal information as well. So different things. I have my notes, but there's a couple things I want to touch on that goes with the bullying that I didn't add to my notes, which is basically kind of where Mars left off. It's okay to block people, even if they're not necessarily bullying, but harassment, because there's a fine line there.
Mm-hmm.
Block them. Spend the 5-10 minutes and just sit there and block every account that you know is theirs, so that they can't get to you. It's not. It can be really hard, but it can be super beneficial for your mental health, because at the end of the day, if they're getting to you enough that it's affecting your daily life, in healthcare, anything that is frequent, lasts for duration, there's a high intensity, and it's chronic, then that's where the issue is. So if you have somebody that is doing that fits any of those,
Mm-hmm.
you have a right to take care of yourself. And if you can't do it, reach out to someone that can walk you through it. Maybe you don't know how to block somebody. Maybe you don't know that you can block them on your phone, or that you can block them on Snapchat, or you can block them on WhatsApp, or whatever. And we have a lot of parents in Twitch crew. You can help your kids, and it can be hard, but at the end of the day, being transparent with them and just say, hey, every week, I just need to check through your phone real quick to make sure, what people are saying, especially if they're younger. And let them know that you're not doing it to snoop on their personal lives. You're doing it to help protect them. They'll fuss, because kids will fuss, but that's the same thing with telling them to clean their room, because at the end of the day, you don't want to find out that they're getting this Momo challenge thing going on and you can't do it. One thing I read was saying, make a rule where they're not able to have their phones or tablets or any devices in their room at night. You can enforce different things to kind of help them. It can be hard, especially as they get older into teen, because, there's that teenagers, let's face it, we get stubborn in that time period, and we know everything. And
stubborn's such a nice word for that. We get stubborn. That's what it is.
Oh, I came out of the womb stubborn, that's for sure.
But it's super important to talk to your kids and watch their behavior. Like Mars says, if she suddenly quit playing Siege one day, all of us would know what happened. Something happened. So if your kids are suddenly afraid, they're not playing a game that they normally do, if they're not talking to certain friends anymore, if they're not talking about certain friends anymore that they used to talk about all the time, what happened? If they don't want to go over to somebody's house anymore, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to have those conversations with your kids, because that might hurt, but at the end of the day, if they're going to bed crying and you don't know about it, you're going to end up way worse, and those kiddos, they may end up trying to do something drastic because they can't take the pain anymore, whether it's cutting themselves or, going further and trying to commit suicide or actually committing suicide. We don't want that to happen with anyone. We don't want that to happen to any of the adults.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be afraid to bring up those conversations with your children, with your friends, family members, if you see something. But then, you're like, sometimes you can't tell. So you just kind of have to watch behavior. And if you spend a lot of time around people, especially online, a lot of us spend a lot of time talking to each other each and every day.
Mm-hmm.
We can tell a difference in how we talk. I don't know how many people know that if I just say, they ask me how I am and I'm like, I'm okay, immediately I get DMs, what's wrong? And it's like,
it's just like, Muse, what's up,
exactly.
girl?
What's going on? And so, it's real easy to tell. I've had a lot of people tell me, because I've been going through some stuff, people lately are like, you look happy, you sound happy. They're noticing this change in me because I did have to block somebody recently. And so, people notice. You might not think that they don't notice, but they notice.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be afraid to reach out and talk to people. Lady Edge says, I always talk to my kids about that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important. Really, really important.
I'm bugging Muse 24/7.
Leos are
It's all
stubborn.
good.
I don't know anything about astrological signs, and I'm always so excited to find out about them.
Leos are technically supposed to be very stubborn. It's
I'm a Taurus.
No,
We're
that's
supposed
not
to be
a
the most
topic. I
stubborn.
miss each other. Yeah,
Yeah.
Taurus is what I always picture as stubborn because they're.
the bull.
I
Yeah,
am
mean,
literally
it
like the
makes sense.
picture like Taurus person.
I'm
like, in
Aquarius,
all
and
things.
I have no knowledge. I'm a jar of water, is all I understand of being an Aquarius. Like sometimes my sign is literally just like two squigglies, and I'm like, "What is this? This is
Yep.
lame." Whatever. We can cover that next crew talk. Sorry.
I would actually love to talk about that stuff.
That
So
would actually kind of be fun. We might,
Yeah.
we could do that.
Hmm.
Personalities, different types of personalities. There we go, guys.
absolutely.
Do the INFJ thing. The Briar.
Oh, I forgot.
Briar's
the name.
thing.
I think
Yeah.
I'm ENFJ.
Anyway, we're distracted. But the thing
We're gonna get into psychology
For-
next screw talk.
for
Yes.
ourselves, there we go. For ourselves and for kids, because we have a lot of people in Twitch crew who are younger as well, and people who we see them streaming, we run into them playing games. You know, I'll see Prismac and Duke both will jump into randoms, and a lot of times, you know, within Fortnite, and they'll get these kiddos that they're playing with, and I love listening to them because
Kiddos.
they have fun with them, and they actually like talk to them, and they don't talk down to them like a lot of adults do. Problem is, and where Fortnite's getting a lot of flack from a lot of places, is that people are using it as a platform to get to those. They can friend them. They can find out personal
Yeah.
information.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a
Um,
scary, scary side of a very, very optimistic thing you just said that I
Yeah.
didn't think of till just now. Because I was going to bring up a nice story about that, and I'm like, oh, Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So like Prismac and Duke obviously are not out there getting information. You know, they're joking with them with like they hear them munching on something. It's like, what the heck are you eating? And you know, they're having fun. They make it a fun experience for the kids. The
Mm-hmm.
side fact of it is the other side of it, and
Mhm.
there are those people out there that are like, so what's your name?
Being nice and trying to.
Yeah, they just make
Dang.
conversation. So where do you live?
Or
I
they
almost rather have
beat
a
them.
toxic person in that.
Yeah, so, or they beat them down so much that they're just turned off from gaming altogether.
Right, and well, that's the side I usually think of. Like, if I get matched with a kid, I try to be nice, like you're saying, Duke is, and Prismac. Of course, that's how I am too. But that's because I'm a regular person. I grew up when Xbox, before you could do like the party chats.
Yeah.
So it was you're in the lobby with people no matter what, and I honestly kind of miss it, but that's because of who I am. I liked shit talking back to people, but never to berate people. And I know that's what people are doing. And that's the opposite side that I hear. I've never thought of the middle line that Musi just brought up where, oh, these people are being nice
Mm-hmm.
in order to be too nice.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
that's scary and dangerous. But the one thing I was going to say that made me think of when you're talking about Prismac and Duke, and a nice thing about the online matching with kids is I like Ninja. I like what he's done for our industry. He's done some crazy stuff. He does some bad moves. He does some good moves. He's corny. Some people don't like him, things like that. But there's a couple videos that my roommate showed me where he would go into duos unmatched and match with a kid. And he is the best with kids.
Is he?
Unbelievable. He is so cool. He like runs around. He'll be like, oh, heal yourself. And then the kid won't cover. And he'll be like, no, you got to cover yourself. And he'll build up like an entire castle. And the kid just
that's
looks up and he's like,
amazing.
what just happened? Like, it's really, really cool.
That's amazing.
But I never thought about that flip side. And that is a scary,
well, we don't want to
scary
think
thing.
about that,
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of
But you
people
have
don't.
to.
Yeah.
You have to.
but you do, and
Ugh.
especially if you're a
Heebie-jeebie.
parent or you have a younger sibling.
Or you're just an adult like we are and know that we have younger people in our chat. Like it is our responsibility as adults to protect our younger members.
I
It
do
is,
forget that
for sure.
sometimes too,
Yeah.
until someone shows their age. I'm like, oh wait, that's right. Not
Yeah,
everybody
like-
in here.
yeah, like-
not everybody in here is 21 and up.
Yeah. So like it is our responsibility as adults to protect our younger members and, you know, really all of our members, but to pay special mind to that because, you know, we're the people that they're interacting with all day. Like technically their parents could go to them and be like, who are you talking to all day? And then they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm talking to all these people. And then they're like, oh, you're talking to all these adults? Why? You know, but like
Exactly, and
we
that
have
is
to,
super scary.
yeah, and like we have to put ourselves in the best foot forward because like, you know, we're their first line of defense because we're actually here. Like, you know, whether if they're open with their parents, that's a different thing, but like we're actually in our gen chat all, like,
Mhm.
all day, every day. Like it's our responsibility to watch out for these things.
Exactly. And it was the other day I was playing Siege, and there was this young kid. He couldn't have been 12 or 13. Should not have been playing the game. Like,
Mm-hmm.
totally unage appropriate for him.
Mm-hmm.
But he was good. Like, he wasn't, like, he was doing call outs, he was talking, he was communicating, Sledge is here and this is what's going on, and can you go here? And he was really sweet, and like, I almost friended him because he was such, like, he was just this cute kid, and he was into the game for the game.
Mm-hmm.
And we ran into him later, and he was on the other team, and I got really excited that he was there.
Mm-hmm.
But the next thing I know, he got kicked, and I know it's because he spoke up in chat. And everybody's like, "Oh, you're a kid."
Yeah.
And it's like, for him, that, how many times has that happened to him?
It happened to me a lot because I was a girl. So
exactly, I will not even talk in Siege voice chat if I can help from it because of that.
Yeah, unless if I'm not playing with a friend, like, I don't talk in chat at all.
God.
Yeah.
That girl gamer thing drives me up a wall.
Mm-hmm.
That was in our first crew talk that I was part of.
Yeah,
It's
I've
like,
had fun with it, but it's that in itself can be a form of bullying depending on how
it's
the person
approach.
doing it approaches it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like there's 48% of gamers are women right now.
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, 52% of women were gamers. So why is it still a thing? I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
It
Because
doesn't
of
make any
bullying
sense.
and harassment, but
Yeah.
that's another thing. And so how ways that you can kind of protect yourself within game, if you can, and a lot of games have it, shut voice chat off.
Mm-hmm.
That way you can't hear what they're saying to you.
Right.
It makes it hard for team-based games, but a lot of the games, Siege, for example, if somebody is starting to say some stuff to you that's not very nice, you can go in and you can mute that person. And I have done it so many times. It's like, okay, I'm done with your shit.
Mm-hmm.
Muted. And
Bye.
teach your friends, teach your kids. Be like, nope, I'm not standing for this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to. You can leave a lobby if you feel uncomfortable. Leave a lobby.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to play with that person. If they're asking you questions you're not comfortable with, be like, either don't answer, mute them, or just leave.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, just leave.
Yeah.
Protect yourself. It sucks that you might have to do that, but at the end of the day, you're feeling comfortable and you're feeling safe.
Mm-hmm.
That's the important thing. So yeah, there's a lot of online predators in that way. And for bullying, I think that the biggest suggestions for bullying, harassment, and to protect yourself from people who may be trying to pry too much information from you,
Mm-hmm.
or your kids or siblings or whatever, block, mute, just start a new lobby, get out of there,
Mm-hmm.
and listen, keep an eye out for yourself and for your friends.
Mm-hmm.
As we talked about, there's other ways that people can get to you for information on the web and how to be careful.
Mm-hmm. Can I interject for just a second?
Yeah.
Yeah, regarding all the gaming stuff, also be aware that literally 90% of games have a report function. So don't be afraid to report them, because I know
use it and it works.
Yeah, so like I know Rocket League is super big. Like every time like I report, like I very rarely report someone unless I feel like it's super necessary. And there's a couple people that like times like I'll be playing with Ken, we reported someone, and the next time I log in it says, like Rocket League has responded to a report, thank you for saying something. It makes the community safer. So like, in regards to like muting stuff, like, just don't be afraid to report them. Worst comes to worst, nothing happens from it, but like something could happen from it, and you don't know like who that could be helping down the road. So be aware that literally 90% of games have a report function. So
they do.
Sorry,
and get
I didn't mean
familiar
to.
with those. If you aren't, no, that's a good point that I did forget. So I'm glad you did. There is a lot of, every game's a little bit different, and spend the time get familiar with the different controls in the UIs and where those functions are. Whether it's the report function, Siege comes to mind because that's what I've been playing a lot of lately. It's real easy to tab that person up and report toxic behavior, to mute them. If you are playing with someone toxic and you have enough people with you, if you're playing with 4-stack and that fifth person is fifth person is being toxic. You know, vote kick, get them out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Get familiar with the games, especially if it's a game you play a lot and you enjoy, and if you get people in there that are being little butt munches,
Jerks.
get them
Butt
out of there.
munches. That's a good
Butt
one.
munches, yeah.
I was gonna say asshat, but then I was like, I don't feel like asshat.
Wait,
But
what was
anyway.
it the other day? Someone said is wearing underwear technically wearing an ass hat? Like, are you technically underwear? Sorry.
That's like,
Brought
Yeah.
a whole new thing.
Food
to using
for
that.
thought. Food for
I
thought,
think
guys.
That's why I was like pausing on it. So I was like,
Like, you're not wrong, but like it's kind of like the opposite of like assless chaps, kind of. Like I
Freth person.
Oh.
Oh, I also want to say, Eddie trying to bully me. He's an awful bully. I tried to get him to bully me one time on stream, and he couldn't do it.
it's so funny. I call him a bully, and we make jokes about him being a bully, but he's one of the nicest people to me, like, ever.
He was.
all I
I
have to
think
do
that's why it's so funny to call him a bully, is because he's like the opposite of.
like the minute he says something mean to me, I just send him the sad penguin. He's like, "I'm sorry, forgive me."
And I just want to make it very, very, very clear to anyone in the community. Mars has mentioned this already. If you feel like you're being bullied, if you feel like you're being harassed, whether it's someone in the community or out, it doesn't matter. Reach out to any of us. It doesn't even have to
Yeah.
be the mods. Harry would be more than happy to talk to you. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I know his DMs are always open. Tatya
In fact,
will always
DM me.
answer.
Don't
Mhm.
Jono,
tag me in Gen Chat because I won't see it.
yeah,
really bad about
he gets
that.
lost. He gets lost.
Yeah, I literally, I'll go to the table and then I'm gone.
Because there's like 200 messages later. But
Yeah.
don't be afraid to DM people. I know Jono will answer, Tatya will always answer, Harry will always answer.
Mhm.
Any of the mods will always answer. Reach out. Don't be afraid to. We're not gonna be like, we're not gonna blow you off at all.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We've all been there one way or another. If we don't know the answer on how to do something in a particular app or a game, we know somebody who does.
Mhm.
So
And personally, I have pretty good function on Twitch. I'm sure both Mars and Musi do as well. If you do reach out to somebody, don't be afraid to ask them, "Hey, I'm live right now. Can you please come in here and help me with this situation?" Because I know
Yeah.
a lot of us are still smaller channels,
Mhm.
and we don't always have the what am I looking for? Tools to handle a situation that's come about.
Like
I have a few mods
sometimes my
myself, but
mods
they can
are at
always be
work.
there. Right.
Exactly.
Mods
You know?
are at work or anything like that. Just say, "Hey, can you come in here and help me figure out what to do with this?" And maybe we'll come in and say, "Hey, you have to mod me really quick and I can help you."
Mhm.
Or if you don't even have to mod us, or if you just need some kind of reinforcement, not saying to come in and like argue or anything like that, but we can be in there and help, because an easy thing for a troll to do is if there's nobody else getting back at him, they're
Mhm.
just going to keep going and they're keep being negative. Even like we were talking about that Ace Platinum, he came in here and Eddie immediately was like, "Well, maybe they're not responding because you're seeming a little trolly."
Mhm.
Yep.
Things like that.
And that can really go for anything, because like I've even had Duke message me before about something that was happening in his Discord that he didn't feel comfortable handling on his own. And it wasn't even in TC.
Yeah.
He's like, "There's something happening in my Discord. I don't really know how to go about it. Can you help me?" And like I was glad to help him. Like it could be really anything, like whether it's cyberbullying or someone's coming into your chat saying that they are being cyberbullied. Maybe it's like just that person's way of reaching out. Like don't always treat, like if someone comes into your chat and says like they're like, "I'm going through something," like don't treat it automatically as if they're being a troll. Always treat it appropriately, as if it was the real thing, because you never actually will know if it is or not. And you really don't want to be that person that writes someone off because you think that they're trolling you. And normally if you're responding in an appropriate manner, they'll usually just go away if they are trolling you. But you never know who you might actually be helping. So
That's very true. And if you, like I said, we know how each other talks typically, because a lot of us spend all day. And if you see somebody talking differently, or even if you see somebody say, "Hey, I really need to talk to someone," and you've never seen them do that, reach out.
mhm.
You know, you never know. It could be something small. It could be something big. Either way, it'll mean something because you acknowledge that, hey, they reached out for help and you were there.
Mhm. And another big thing to mention is about Gen Chat. Even though it does go super fast and things do get flooded in there and people might not see every comment, if something does happen in Gen Chat and it's flooded and it's like 500 messages up and it's still bothering you, say something.
Oh yeah.
fine.
Like, never
Mars
be
will
afraid to
come
say something.
Swift in with that hammer. I've seen her bow all sorts of comments.
Oh, I
Not
have.
like all sorts of bad comments. She was just being funny. Like she like banned Paladin for an hour for no apparent reason. I don't think that ever happened, but
No, but it's tempting now that you say it.
yeah, joking. She's been on top of that jokingly, so I can only imagine the wrath that would consume our gen chat if somebody was actually being a toxic person.
Us,
Oh,
thank you
yeah.
for that sub.
Oh, yeah.
And Ace is apologizing. He says, sorry that I seem like a concerned guy.
Hey.
But genuinely was just trying to be funny and not a bully. I understand that's a topic of discussion, but I'm really not a bully. We're not saying you are. We're just saying that
Right.
we used it as an example.
It was very coincidental.
If anything, thank you for your apology.
Yes.
Even though it's
a
not.
good way
Yeah.
Paladin's
again
like,
coming in
don't
with
give her ideas.
great example of, so what if we were offended and if we did say something and then you took it upon yourself to be like, hey, I'm so sorry, that's not what I was intending, I'm just trying to be funny, boom, done, problem solved.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all it takes.
Yep.
When you're new, Twitch is all about bringing new people into your channel. We all want to grow, we all want to have a fun community, so you want new people to come in. They're not going to know you, they're not going to know how you act about things, so that is good etiquette to be funny, be yourself. If the person doesn't like it, then say, hey, sorry, that's just me being me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for sure. Sorry, I was being a little bit of a troll myself there, Ace. So, much love. I'm sassy. If you hang out, you'll see I'm super sassy.
Can confirm.
Can confirm. So other things to keep in mind while you're online or to help anyone that you know online. Be careful with what information you put out there. As Mar says, it doesn't go away. Just because you might delete your tweet, it's still there somewhere. Somebody probably screenshot it. It's there. It's not gone. Nothing goes away at all. So for those of us who are doing a lot of streaming, a lot of people who want to pursue partnership and do this for a profession, it's really important to have separate social medias. Keep your personal stuff away from your stream stuff. That way you can have your personal life and you have it secured so that only the people you want to see it. And then you can have your personal or your public stuff for your streams, for your giveaways, for whatever you're doing over here can remain public so everybody can see it. So keep that in mind. Keep your social media separate, professional and online interactions from your personal ones. Like I said, you want to keep your personal stuff secure. You can put that, whether that's putting, locking your tweets so that only your followers can see it, making it so that people have to request to be your friend, whatever it is. There's different ways that you can secure your personal stuff so that people can't see it. Be careful about what you say. A lot of us do know where others of us live because we talk a lot with each other. We've developed that bond, but not everybody out there has it. And so if you are just out there saying, I live at this place.
People usually assume because of the Cubs W flag, they're like, hey, you Chicagoland area? I'm like, yeah.
Oops. Luckily for you, for some, Chicago's a big place. The likelihood
that's another big thing.
Able to find you is good.
Very, very.
They're not going to find it. You're probably safer. But someone like myself who lives in a much more rural area, it wouldn't be as difficult.
Crazy to find it. Yeah, and I always say Chicagoland area, which if anybody knows anything about Chicago, first of all, Chicago itself, like you just said, is massive. Population is huge. Then somebody like me, who actually lives a slight distance out from Chicago, that there's probably like
confirm not actually in Chicago.
Confirm. I know where Wiz is. I figured it out. No, there's like 4 or 5 towns that surround my town with a population of, I don't even know. Like my graduation class of high school is like 1,300 people.
Yeah,
like that's my graduating class.
Mine was like 100.
Right, yeah. And that's the difference. And that was everything around me. So there's a very low chance that I'm gonna be found without actually saying where I am.
That being said, I have a friend who was giving me a bad time about wanting cupcake, and he lives in a large area in Florida.
I remember this.
I don't. And I'm ready. I don't know how this is moving.
I knew his first name. I was able to get his last name from a mutual friend. And
I want to bring that up in a second.
Okay,
yeah, and that's
first
a lot.
Name, last name, age, and that he was in Florida.
Yeah.
I found
Mutual
Spotted.
friend. Mutual friend is a very, very big thing.
Yeah.
Make sure you're careful of who you say that you know, because you don't know how
Exactly.
personable they're being. Caps Lock Keon, we rated him the first time I was in Crew Talk. Awesome guy. He's an IRL friend of mine. And one time he was in my chat and he texted me, he's like, hey, careful what you're saying, because people in here know that we're friends in real life. And I'm very, very private about where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, I had not overstepped any bounds, because I try to be, like I said, I'm pretty broad about the high population area I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
But he was still like, hey, just heads up. Or
Mind
Savage
you.
Wolf.
Yeah.
Savage Wolf and Twitch Crew. I've been in Twitch Crew for 6 months, or a little bit more now. But it was at about 6 months I found out that this guy I've been talking to in Gen Chat, he lives 10 minutes walking away from my house.
Mhm.
Walking.
Yeah.
Walking.
Mm-hmm.
So if I said that around the wrong people and Savage Wolf was just saying, hey, I live here, 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 that
They'd be
means
able to
Brett
find
lives in a 10-minute radius of that.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be very careful about who you're saying you actually know, because that can just do the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. But there's things.
50 people. Oh my god. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Ray graduated with a class of 50.
I mean,
What happens in rural America, guys?
what's the drama like? I can't.
A lot of drama, I'm sure.
I can only imagine. You must know everything about every single person in your school.
You do.
Easy case
Everything.
for cyberbullying.
But so what I was gonna say is, I found his current address via his voter registration. There is stuff out there, guys.
Jeez.
That is of
Public record.
information, public record,
Mm-hmm.
that is really easy to find, and you only need to know a handful of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so be really, really careful about what you're putting out there. First name, last name, location. That by itself sometimes can be enough for them to find a lot of stuff about you.
Mm-hmm.
So be very careful about what you say. And like Harry's saying, if you have IRL friends that don't live far away from you,
Mm-hmm.
Be careful what you're saying, because you could lead someone to them as well.
Right,
Mhm.
exactly. Luckily, again, there's only 2 of them, and all 3 of us aren't really like that. But yeah, that's why I was comfortable using it as an example. But yeah,
no, it's
that's
a perfect
crazy.
example.
It's
So
absolutely
things
crazy.
that you have to voter registration. But I'm trying to think of other public records. I mean, guys, I can go online to my city. They have the records. I can look up my friend's house and how much it's valued at, like what it's assessed at, and their name and address.
And this is another big thing that you
There's
guys are talking about, like this public record stuff. Like, be careful about like what you're like. Even if you have to be careful about like where you're living and like what like all that stuff. Be careful about like what you say you do for work, like where specifically
Yes.
you work, and also
That's
be
why
careful.
Keon yelled at me.
Yeah, and
That's
also
why Keon yelled at me.
yeah, and also be careful about what you say about your living situation. Don't tell people that you're a female who lives by herself. Don't say that you like maybe you have a roommate. Like don't. They're not in your stream to know these things, you know.
Yeah.
And you really don't need to put yourself on a spotlight like that, because there are some really terrible people out there that
There are.
will take advantage of stuff like that. So like
And-
they just don't need to know that. They all they need to know is that you are here, you're playing a game, you're doing art, you're playing music, you're doing whatever you're doing on camera, and when the camera goes off, that's it. That's it.
Personal lives, and some people are more open for their personal lives. But I mean, it was what 3-4 months ago ish. I can't remember for sure. But Dr. Disrespect, somebody drove past his house with a BB gun and shot out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
scary.
I mean, obviously he's gonna get hit a lot harder because he is a bigger
Yes.
channel, and but that's what everybody's mind just thought, including mine. However, that's not correct. You have to remember that, like Mars said before, Musi said before, everything on here isn't going anywhere. People can find your past broadcast, even if you delete your whole account. I'm sure they can
somewhere.
figure it out. It's somewhere there. And
that's just
speaking
it. A
of,
lot of these sites have clouds and stuff, and that stuff gets
Yeah.
saved. Even though you delete it, they still have it in their records.
right. So when you get that big, yeah, no one's gonna get it when you're even say like 200 viewers. But when you get as big as someone as Dr. Disrespect, all of a sudden you have people that do stuff like that because for some reason they think it's fun. I don't know. Speaking on Mars saying be careful about talking about where you work and things like that. Again, I'm only using these hypotheticals because they're things that both of us have been open on stream. We all know Bloodhaven Gaming, right? Awesome guy. Love Bloodhaven. He's been open about where he's stationed in the military right now, so I'm not too concerned about it. However, I just said I was in Chicagoland area. We have both talked about how close we are to each other on stream together, and he's open about him being in the Navy. Now, if he wasn't already open about where he's stationed, I wouldn't even be bringing this up because of how stupid it would be.
Mhm.
But he is. And if that, just those three things, oh, Breck Chicagoland area, oh, Bloodhaven's somewhere near there, oh, he's in the Navy. Well, I'm sure you guys can piece it together. There's only one place here. And now all of a sudden they know what military base this guy's stationed on.
Mhm.
Like, that's serious bad. Or
Mhm.
Savage Wolf, if he was a creeper, I was talking to that dude in Gen Chat for at least 4 to 6 months before knowing he was that close to me. If I would have leaked where I was and Savage Wolf was a creeper for some reason and he wasn't a friend, he now knows that, oh, that's where he is. Oh, I can just find this guy.
I can go say hi.
Mhm.
I can
knock
just
on
go
the
say
door.
hi. And even if he was just saying hi because he thinks that's appropriate or something, that's still like, whoa,
Yeah.
It's scary.
why did this person just do
Scary.
this?
It's
Mhm.
not- and we're making a big deal out of this. It's not saying that everybody here in chat is going to, stalk any of us.
Mhm.
Probably not the
Mhm.
case. But
Right.
the point is to put it out there so that you're thinking about it, that it's in the back of your mind. So the next time
Education.
you're talking to somebody new, education, exactly. The next time you're talking to somebody new, you might not, let them know that your first name is this,
Mhm.
or, and
Oh, I just
Um,
did that, didn't I? Oh,
you did. You let it out. Nice.
To be honest, I'm probably
but, like-
the person that needs to listen to this topic.
Ace
more.
asked. Ace did ask us to use Ace. Please forgive me. You've given us a lot of stuff to use as examples. He did ask our names.
Mhm.
And while we have our online names, and Harry so kindly put it in there for Ace to see which of us was which.
Mhm.
But it's not a good thing. Like, don't be going into people's streams and saying, "Oh, well, what's your real name?"
Mhm.
You don't need to know that at the
Mhm.
end of the day, because even Mars and I have known each other now for a year and a half ish, almost now.
Mhm.
Close.
Yeah.
And I know her first name. Like, to me, she's still Mars.
Mhm.
Like,
I still
and
call
if
you
I were to
Muse.
see you, exactly. And if
Yeah.
we were to hang out in person and like we were at a store or something and I needed to get her attention, I would still probably go, "Hey, Mars." Like,
Yeah, and I'd probably still
One-
respond. So
1,000%. 1,000%. If I ever ran into either of you, I'd be like, Musey?
Mhm.
Is that you? Exactly.
What?
And so, like, okay, well, Eddie's an exception.
You made that mistake, buddy. That was your choice.
No. Guys, fun fact. Eddie's name is not
really
Eddie. It's not Eddie. He played
It's not.
everybody. He
Mhm.
did it the smartest way. You want to be secure? Make your name a regular ass name, but don't have it be your name.
I know at least 3 people like that whose like Twitch name is like a name, and it's just like,
It's not their name.
that's not your name.
Yeah,
I know
I'm not
you.
surprised.
Exactly. I
That
know.
stuff throws me off. Actually, I found out my uncle's name was that we've been calling him our whole lives.
Can't
At
get through.
22 years old, I found out that it was actually his middle name,
Yeah.
and I was like mind boggled. And I know people do that all the time, but I
Mhm.
was blown away because I was like,
Yeah.
"Excuse me."
Yeah, like I literally picked up Paladin at the airport and screamed, Paladin!
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep that information as secure. And some people are more comfortable with giving it out than others. Know what your comfort level is.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, my name is Musachelle. It's not that hard to take a guess that my first name is Michelle. I'm not gonna be upset
Whoa!
if
I thought it was
people-
Megan.
If people call me Michelle or Michelle, I'm not going to get upset about it because, let's be realistic, it would be stupid of me to get upset over that because it's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to tell you my middle name. I'm not, my last name. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
you're not getting it. You're not getting my social security number. Like, I love y'all, but not that much.
Mm-hmm.
But just be careful and mindful of what your comfort level is, what you want to say, where you're at, and things like that.
Oh, I just
And-
thought of
and-
something.
Yeah.
Anyone who does IRL streams, be careful of what you show on your screens. If you are taking tours around cities that you say that you live close next to, be careful of how close to home you are walking with that camera on your face. Because
Exactly.
people who really, really, really want to find you will pay attention to the formation of a tree to be able to find you.
People
yeah,
are.
they'll-
I literally
crazy.
just thought of that, but like,
No, it's
you-
People are
be
insane.
careful.
Very, very good point.
Yeah.
Things that we don't necessarily think about, we just take it for granted,
Mhm.
but it is important. Same thing with posting pictures on social media too.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Be mindful of what you're taking a picture of and what you say, of where you are when you take that picture and stuff, because it's like, oh yeah, this is the coffee shop down the street from me.
Mhm.
People like, I know that coffee shop. You know,
They can go
just
sit at that
things-
coffee shop and wait for you. You never know.
Exactly. So just things to be mindful of. Not necessarily like don't put yourself in a bubble and don't be afraid to do stuff. Just be mindful of it. Sorry for calling you that.
I'm not a housekeeper, I
I'm
promise.
so confused.
I don't even like cleaning my own house.
I just love
by that if they want me to, and that's really good. Ace, I just used it as an example again because you gave a great opening for me to use
Ace
it
is
as an
on top
example.
of things. Maybe it's
Yeah.
because he's new to the channel,
Ace
so
is-
he's doing
Ace
all
is
the
the ace.
things. Yeah.
We'll just put it that way.
Thanks, Eddie.
God dang it, Eddie.
Eddie
Exposed.
Eddie made me so happy when he was like, "Why's it got to be low budget hotel?" He didn't even say that you weren't a hotel housekeeper. He was just completely on board. He's like, "No, dude, but it's not at like the Rat
Why is it
Hotel,
low
dude.
budget?
It's the
I'm the
Ritz or something."
housekeeper manager. No.
Right.
All right, as far as like passwords, because we have to have passwords for everything, which is
Mhm.
both good and bad. Make sure it's strong. You don't use password. Don't use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like this is stuff that a lot of us know, but maybe if like any of us, we get kind of lazy sometimes, and we're like, whatever. It doesn't really matter
What the
this or that or whatever. I've known people who they can't remember the password and they get mad because they have to reset it every time, so the password becomes "I hate passwords." You know. But the point is,
That's
like,
beautiful.
it really is. Don't forget it. But don't use common words. Don't use words that people can associate with you. So, like, I wouldn't use corgi because everybody knows I love corgis. I wouldn't use corgi as my password because that would be
Corgi
easy to guess.
lover.
Musi Corgi 1, 2, 3 exclamation point.
There,
I'm in.
exactly. You never
Got it.
note to self: change password.
Right.
But you know, think about the people that are around you, the information that you give them. Ace is saying making the password. That's not a good password. It's really frustrating and annoying when they're like, use a lowercase, uppercase, number, and a special character. But it's important because it makes it strong. It makes it that much harder for people to crack. Yeah.
For a very long time, password 1 with a capital P was the least guessed password for anybody's password. So it was actually considered to be one of the safest passwords to use for a very long time. But then
Until
it
it was
big.
exposed. Yeah.
Exactly. Until they were like, this is great. And then it changed. So
All right. Honestly, greatest password to ever have your first AIM screen name. No one will ever guess
wrong,
it.
because I would forget that. So
Yeah, but like, so will everybody else.
and if they hack into your stuff and find your first AIM screen name, now what? Now what? Now what, Mars?
I
It's
had
always
like
on
I
the
had
internet.
I had like 20 of them. So
That's
I was
fair.
me and my friends were like those people that were just like, oh, it's a new week, new screen name, let's go.
Yeah, I just picked I picked something. I'm bad again.
Shut
bad
up,
example
Eddie.
for internet security, as I have been the whole time. I haven't changed my passwords in a very long time. However, they are extremely obscure. It's picked from a movie that I happen to like that I couldn't tell you a single quote from the movie or even what it was from. It wasn't even a movie. It was actually like a whole thing. Doesn't matter. I don't want to describe my password anymore.
So now
My
we know
point
that it
is-
has sequels.
My point is, it's that plus a bunch of nonsensical numbers that nobody would know except me because it's for something else nobody should know. And then it's also got another. So it's like a long password of a bunch of crap. So pick stuff you like maybe, but don't make it relate. So if you're doing corgi, do corgi, but then put your favorite like barbecue sauce. And then now all of a sudden this is something you're not going to forget, but no one's ever going to think your password is corgi baby rays. Like no one's going to
Exactly.
put that
That's a
as
good
your
point.
password.
That's a good point, and that goes beyond using just a simple word that
Mhm.
you're familiar with. It's adding more depth to it, and it takes more for them to crack the code. Not that they can't, because they still will. I have an example. My Netflix account was hijacked. I got locked out of it because they changed the password. And the funny thing was, when I called Netflix support, the guy was looking at it and he's like, "You didn't get an email for a request to change password?" I was like, "Nope." He's like, "I have no idea how they did this."
Mm-hmm.
They got into my Netflix account without even going through the forgot a password thing to reset it.
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing was he didn't he just added himself to who's watching, like the little accounts. He just added himself. He didn't remove mine.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird.
He just wanted to watch Netflix.
I guess. But ultimately what happened was not only did I change my password, but we were able to change my email address associated with that account so that it was completely fresh and that they couldn't get into it.
Mhm.
Fresh and so clean.
Exactly. So that's the thing too. Don't use the same password across multiple accounts, because if they crack it on one, they can put it on another one.
Mm-hmm.
What do you
because
mean? That's
let's
not a great
face it,
idea.
I'm the worst with that.
all
Like, I'm pretty sure, like, I
am
have
too.
like just different numbers for all of them, but like the premise is still the same. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys, I ain't scary.
Um,
I got nothing to hide.
Hers
It's,
is Corgi Baby Ray, and then Ray Baby.
Corgi,
That's
I
all.
mean, you're giving my secrets away.
Sorry.
Like, change all the passwords.
Harry Wizard has figured everything out.
He knows too much. He may have to die. What? Hmm?
Whoa! Whoa!
Very extreme.
That W flag is actually for Wisconsin. I don't live anywhere near anything that has to do with the Cubs. I live in Ohio, the worst state.
I hate corgis. Oh, there you go. Becky. But yeah, because the fact is, especially if they get your password to your email address, they can easily go to your Amazon account that email address is attached to and say forgot password. Go in, change it. Then all of a sudden now,
And all it
they're
takes
not
is
only
one.
into your things,
Yeah,
they're
the
into
email
your
is a
Amazon
big one.
account. They have access to, if you keep your credit card on file, they have that information. And all they have to do is load up that cart and hit send and change the address to where it's getting sent to.
And if I'm not mistaken, Gmail is the most popular email service, and they do not require you to have a super strong password.
They do
Google's
not.
an ass.
Yeah.
Google's an ass. I have an issue with Google. I can't get into one of my Google accounts because somebody got into it, changed the phone number that it's attached to, but there is no way for me to refute that is not my phone number.
That's
Ooh,
stupid.
That sounds fun. I'm having a bunch of cryptocurrency problems like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
'Cause
so
I
there's
got a new
usually lot
phone.
of things, guys.
And set up Authy. I'm sure most of you have it because you're streamers, and it requires you to do that. But set up that two-step. That's
Two-step verification or
Thank you.
authentication.
authentication is what shut down my entire brain.
I saw that happen. Like the sparks were just going across the screen.
Literally, all you have to do is to set it up. You just put your phone number in, and it will text you the codes when you need it. So, like,
it takes
when I
2
log into
seconds.
Uplay, and it doesn't recognize it. My camera just went weird. It's got little things going through it. It will text me the code. What is going on with the camera?
Hiya! Stop it!
It's probably trying to do some weird exposure thing, unless you
There
just
we go.
burnt it out by putting your phone up to it. Yeah.
We're good now.
But
Doritos
it's
got the
super
best
easy.
idea.
It sounds like a pain, but then it's so
It
easy.
can.
It just
Mhm.
texts it to you, and you just put in the numbers and you
And-
move along.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's super safe. It's smart to have that two-factor authentication because there's a lot of games that we will keep our purchase information. Let's hope you get hacked. That's 'cause that's
I was so
weird.
confused what he was talking about, but then I
Yeah.
understand.
We have our credit card information, whatever, attached to a lot of these because we're like, oh, I really like this skin in Fortnite. I want to buy some V-Bucks. If they get into your Epic Game account, that's there.
Mm-hmm.
So be mindful of that. Don't, if you can keep from it, don't leave your credit card information on an account if you can keep from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nuisance to have to type in those 16 digits. But at the end of the day, it can save you a little bit. That way, if you're getting hacked, people don't have as easily access to it. It's still out there, but you're a little bit more secure. And speaking of buying stuff, make sure that you're on a secure website. Look for the lock up in the corner, the HTTPS, the lock. Make sure that that's there. If it's not, it may not be a secure website to purchase stuff. You don't know. That means that they're not protecting your information.
Mm-hmm.
I was mind blown about that. So we do some prepping. I know we seem very unprofessional, but we do our best. And we do have outlines for us to all read at. And I was going over Musy's outline before he started, and I saw that lock thing. And I was mind-boggling.
It's like, what? There's
You guys,
an S, even went and looked.
I could, yeah.
I was today years old.
I was just sitting here opening web pages. This is during the start soon screen, guys, that you guys had. And we usually had us muted. I was like, but why do these things?
Oh, is that why you were clicking around?
Yeah, that's why I kept clicking around. Now, but here's the point I'm trying to make. I just made that funny. However, make sure you do look for it because it's not about it being a big site. If you think, oh, this site's fine, it's a reputable name, that means nothing because when I was clicking, the thing that blew my mind is ESPN is not secure.
It's not.
I happen to have it because I don't pay a lot of attention to fantasy football, even though I play it every year. So I just have it as my bookmark and I set my lineup once a week. So I click that and it doesn't have a lock.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, there's like 3 other smaller things like Streamlabs. Well, that makes sense. I have a bunch of payment stuff on it. But a lot of my other bookmarks I was clicking, a lot of small stuff, all have locks there. ESPN doesn't. So ESPN is huge. Their website controls tons of stuff. No lock, not secure.
Yep. If
And
you guys
always make
actually-
sure that it is an actual website because, like you said, if it's Twitch and it is locked, and all of a sudden you go to twitch.tv and it's not locked, you might not be on the right website.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know, it
Keep
could
an eye on
it could
that.
just be a mock thing. Like a lot of things are HTTPS, and say you forget the S, sometimes it still works because it might just
What?
be a fake website.
Yep.
Yeah, that actually was a huge thing. Like a couple of years ago, like people were going to HTTP / HTTPS, and it was still working going through because people were making these mock websites. You log into them, now they have your information. Now they have your credit card information. You know, it's a bunch of stuff.
Yep. And along those lines, if you get an email from Amazon or you get an email from Twitch or all these different things that services that you use, if it looks funky, check the email address that it's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
If you do click on it, make sure that it's actually taking you to the correct website. But again, be careful clicking on anything you don't know what is, because if some people will have their information stored in their computer, and by clicking on links, suddenly that opens up a whole can of worms and they have access to everything on your computer.
Yep.
So that brings me to the point of making sure you have some form of antivirus to help keep those guys out,
Mm-hmm.
any type of bug. Make sure it's up to date and that you run those scans. Make sure your firewall is up. Sometimes there are certain games that will counteract our firewall, so we'll shut it off temporarily. Make sure you go back and turn it back on. I will forget to do that sometimes. And I'm like, oh, let me turn that back on.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you're being very careful with your items. I just feel like I shrunk like 5 inches in height because when I was messing with my cam, I still feel
Hello?
I was like,
I'm easy. It's actually
I did.
funny. I
Somebody
just
felt like-
Snapchatted, but why is her camera so low? No, I'm just kidding. I actually just thought of something with what you were saying. Now I lost it. Crap, you made me laugh.
talking
Whatever.
about antivirus.
Keep talking and I'll try to think of it.
Be careful what you download because we love to send links and stuff to each other. Sometimes it's a download.
I remember.
It's real easy for people. Facebook accounts get hacked all the time, and they'll like
Mm-hmm.
it looks like exactly like your friend's account. It's like, oh, add me, and so then you add them, and then maybe they'll.
There's
send
actually
you
a
link
super
and-
recent crisis. Everyone was getting duplicate accounts, and it was just like, "Hello, who are you?" So
Exactly.
Something happened to me not that long ago. You guys might remember, one of you two, I'm sure, saw because you're admin. You guys are good about being in there.
mhm.
But I raided somebody and I use Streamlabs OBS, and I raided somebody, and I didn't end my stream on Streamlabs OBS. If you don't do that, I don't know why it happens. I don't know if it's because the person you hosted didn't go host somebody or whatever. It brings it back to your stream.
Yeah.
So if you're still live, you're still live. And there's a lot of problems with that. One, and this one's not security, but one, Twitch will just straight up ban you if you're streaming nothing for 5 hours because you're at work.
Yeah.
Two, if you're off to the side and you hear things or you say things to, like, say your roommate,
Mhm.
say,
Somebody calls you and
whatever.
says needs your address because
Mhm.
mom wants to mail something to your new home.
Or your
Any
computer's in
million
your
things.
bedroom and you're getting changed.
yes,
There's a bunch of stuff.
You're getting changed. You're doing something embarrassing. I mean, you can just get screwed. But security-wise, yeah, I know. I have this Blue Yeti mic that I absolutely love, and it's very good about picking up my voice and kind of getting rid of everything else. But the thing is, if I'm not right here talking to it, it starts picking up whatever it can.
Yeah.
So if
They're very
you can
sensitive.
sometimes- Exactly. If I get up from my chair and yet no one talks, this has happened to me before, and this is why I'm bringing up the example. You guys saw me use the bathroom right over there earlier.
Mhm.
Closed door, everything. I didn't have music playing. I just put up a BRB screen, and Keon goes, "I just heard you pee." I was like, "You sure it wasn't the
Super bad.
faucet? Because it was." And I was like, "You sure it's not the faucet? It's a very loud faucet." He's like, "No, two separate things." I was like, "Whoa, that's crazy. That's behind a closed door over there.
Yeah.
I could easily be talking to my roommates over there, or my bedroom is just as close as that door."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just make sure you're clicking end stream.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Or muting yourself. You know, if
Yes.
somebody calls you, make sure you mute yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a roommate that comes in, mute yourself because you never know what they're going to say. Harry's, I don't know what he's doing. And Dorito, why are you?
I was muting
talking
myself.
About, he said something about, what was it? Barbecue sauce in the USB port? What? Oh, cough
No,
syrup.
cough syrup.
No, he's saying
Oh,
antivirus, like AKA do not use medication
First
on
of
your
all-
computer.
Oh, I
First
get
of all,
you.
Rogue
That's
Dorito.
antivirus. I was like literally thinking
Cough syrup
in the
is
CV.
not an
And I was like,
antivirus, so why would you do that? That's just silly. I crush up pills and put them into my DVD-ROM drive, and then I push it in.
I took that
and-
way too literally.
I know, like the disintegrated crushed up pill would just go
Harry.
throughout.
Harry.
Sorry. I'm
People
busy.
still have those drives.
I have one, but
I-
it's not plugged in, so it doesn't work.
I have 3. Two of them are plugged in, or sorry, 2 of them are actually in the desktop and not plugged in, so they don't do anything. And then another one's
You
over
have a
there.
problem. No.
They're just there. I don't know.
That's a whole nother thing. But things to
Yes.
keep mindful. I have a couple more tips, guys. We're almost through this. I want to thank everybody for hanging out. A lot of us will meet in person. That's another big security thing. If you say I was somewhere near Mars and I knew that I was in the general area and we wanted to meet up,
Mhm.
I wouldn't insist on coming to her place of residence. I would say, hey, let's, I would find like
I'm not a good
Starbucks,
example for
or I
this.
would find like, no, but like just as an example, like I
Yeah.
would find a restaurant, say like it was lunchtime or something, and be like, hey, there's this pizza place here. Is that somewhere that you can get at? Can we meet here at noon?
Mhm.
Go somewhere public, especially if it's a one-on-one
Mhm.
interaction and it's somebody you haven't met before.
Mhm.
A lot of people will do meetups. Bigger streamers will do meetups.
Mhm.
TwitchCon, there's different meetups in different towns. I know a few months ago there was one in Chicago, some sort of TwitchCon or Twitch meetup thing that happened that somebody in the community went to. Harry's wondering how he missed out on this now.
I miss everything. Everything. Everybody goes to TwitchCon. It's in California. Everything's in freaking California.
There was one in Chicago. There was a meetup. But make sure that you're comfortable going to that location. If you need to take a friend with you, take a friend. Let people know where you're going.
Mhm.
Like that way, if something does happen, or if you don't show up, say I was with my boyfriend and I went to meet up with Harry, and I'll be like, okay, I'll be back to wherever we're staying in 2 hours. If I'm not there, he knows where to find me. In case I'm not answering my phone, he knows where to start asking people.
And if you really, really want to go and you don't have anybody to go with you like that, and it's something that's not like done by our community, feel free to reach out to our community and see if there's anybody who would like to go. A, so I don't miss an opportunity again. But B, that way, even if it's somebody you haven't met before, it's at least somebody as
Mhm.
opposed to absolutely nobody.
And they also do
Again,
have
if you're comfortable with
apps
that.
where you can share your location with people.
Excuse me. Right.
So like have like a friend that is like that you trust and like be like, hey, like I'm like my best friend from home. Like, hey, I'm going to go meet up with Harry in an hour. Like, this is where I'm going. This is where I'll be. If I don't text you at like 8:00 when I should be home, like, now you know where I was. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just things to keep in mind. We did a meetup at TwitchCon for Twitch Crew,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a large group of us. So and we were in a public place. It's a lot more safe that way for people, because then if something does start to happen, there's other people around you that can kind of interject if they need to.
Mm-hmm.
But again, since I've known Mars forever, it's not something I would be concerned with. I
Right.
could go and hang out with her and I wouldn't be worried about it. If
But
she was in
she's
my
got to
area.
let her boyfriend know if she's hanging out with Harry.
I mean, no, actually, well, I mean, if
To be fair,
you
I
and were
proposed to
both
her
there,
like
I would.
5 times. To be fair.
This is true. He
He did.
wanted me to be Twitch waifu. But Just things to keep in mind. If you want to, if there is a meetup coming up and there's somebody in your area that you know that also streams that you want to meet up, you can meet up at that meetup. That way, it kind of takes some of that pressure off. I know Korea commented.
They have a
will
meetup with the
meet-
Utah people all the time. Yeah.
different Utah streamers. You just had lunch last Friday or something like that, and they meet at different restaurants for lunch. That's another great way to do it.
Super jealous, by the way.
I know. Oh, you just got a proposal, Harry. That guys, we got a proposal going on.
Look at that chest puff.
No.
Oh.
Boom.
Well,
Sorry, Calvin.
Um,
Sorry, buddy.
so just things to think of. The last thing I want to point out, guys, is to make sure you're staying up to date with what's going on. There's a lot of security breaches going on.
Oof.
Keep an eye and an ear out for those types of things. It wasn't too long ago that somebody brought it up in Twitch Crew. Noodles even posted a link to check if you've been pwned, if your email address has been put on some of these different phishing websites,
Pwn.
so that you know if you need to go change your password. And be sure again to change those passwords regularly so that people aren't getting used to it. And if something does come up and they say, oh, this site was attacked, do your research, make sure that what you're hearing is true, that it really was, that your information was actually hacked.
And if you're concerned, just change it anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If in doubt, change it for sure. And that was actually my last point. If in doubt about your information being compromised, change the password, check your payment history, check whatever you need to verify for yourself that you're secure. And if it hasn't been, take the steps to shut it down so it doesn't continue further, and do whatever steps you need to protect yourself, to correct those things and be safe again.
Absolutely.
Paladin, if I wasn't already, I would say, but I'm already attached, so I'm sorry. That helps. That probably doesn't help. That probably,
Dude, seriously, I've been trying over and over to Twitch Marry Her. It's just not happening. And Paladin, I would think about it, but it's my understanding that you are a male, and I'm sorry, I can't Chuck and Larry. It's not my thing.
It's not his thing. That's okay.
I'm sorry. Kudos to you, though.
Up next,
it is
I want
legal.
to share a couple of our feature member videos. Last week was McMeme Dream. Super funny dude. He's a lot of fun to hang out with. I got to meet him at TwitchCon.
He also has a great name.
He does have a great name. McMeme Dream. It's fun to say. He's
Hey,
a
you
fun,
guys
fun guy.
ready?
Here we go. Let's check him out.
I messed up. No, I forgot that I had the tabs muted so I wouldn't accidentally play them. I'm doing it anyway. There we go.
Oh, top 10 comedians, eh?
Oh, I was watching funny videos the other day.
Seems simple enough.
Team 4 is searching the tunnels for
Now stay down.
Mermaid. Whoa! Hey. What the? Oh, that's a big. Yeah.
That was McMeme Dream. What the hell? Why is this the next video up?
He has
So sorry.
stated till I'm dead. Oh dear. As Train pointed out, he was able to finish any sentence. And thank you for that resub, Train. You're amazing. We love you.
Oh god, that's funny.
This week featured member is Canny. Canny is an amazing person. They do awesome art. They're always hanging out in different people's channels, saying hello. Just an all-around awesome person. So let's check out Canny.
I'm dying on the inside. That's hilarious. Oh my god. Hold on. I did it again, guys. And unmute him. I'm a monster.
I don't know. Your mouse is confusing my mouse. I don't know what's happening.
Have you ever, have you considered though, at the ripe old age of like,
Wait, my stream is lagged. Just kidding. Remember when I didn't know how to stream? I'm always here. I'm here forever.
like 1.5 years? So like, I think, 23.
And that was Canny.
Canny's awesome. If you don't know Canny, say hello. They pop into chat every now and then. And Canny was talking about playing Siege with Mars today. So if any of the other Siege players get in on that, because that should be a good time.
Yeah,
Fun fact,
that'd be fun.
Train plays Siege, and Train was the very first person to ever come into my channel from Twitch Crew. Love you, Train.
Yeah. All right.
I love Train.
Just a couple of announcements. We're gonna have a community night next weekend. 16th, I believe, is that Saturday, and then the 23rd will be our next tourney, which we're doing Fortnite.
We will be doing Siege.
Siege. Okay.
We will be doing
Yeah, I don't
Siege.
even-
Yeah, we will be doing Rainbow Six Siege because we did the double tournament of Fortnite and Rocket League right before Christmas, and we did Super Smash. So the next one will actually be Siege. So
Beautiful. So be on the lookout for that announcement from the lovely Miss Mars in
Oh god.
in the whatchamacallit, Discord.
the Discord
Uh,
announcements.
There we go.
My brain stopped working. For anybody not in our Discord, do join in. We're a fun bunch. You come to be a member, you stay because your family. You are there to
Absolutely.
help support each other, not just on stream but off stream. Like I said, with our topic of bullying, if anybody ever needs anything, reach out to anyone in the community. They will respond. So, with that being said, we are
Cooch!
going to go say hello to some. Oh, Cooch, hello, hello.
He yelled it a couple times. I felt like he wanted to yell back.
So it looks
That's
like
fine.
Canny is not live right now. So let's go
Dang it.
do someone outside of the community. What do you say?
That works for me. Let's go show some love, show people what we are all about. Get your hype emotes ready. Mars is gonna grab somebody.
Do
for
you
us
have an
in
idea?
just a moment.
Oh, I got it.
Roomy.
Look at that. On
Yep, this
top.
person-
Mm.
This person's name is Vermi. He is currently playing Subnautica,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we're gonna go show some love to Vermi, guys.
Heck yeah. We'll see you
Awesome.
next week with Eddie on the Nines at 8:39.
All right, see you guys.
8:39 exactly.
8:39 on the 9.
Okay, I have to